when you were leaving prison, was everyone there planning on getting out of prison and having a fresh start, or were they institutionalized where they were planning on doing something? No, Derek, I was in federal prison, Lompoc. I was in prison with federal court judges. I was in prison with guys who were on the cover of Wall Street Journal, you know, that kind of stuff. No, a lot of guys I was in prison with, I was at a low, so they had already been at a max and then a medium. So I was in prison with dudes that were in there 13 years, 15 years. But there was all kinds of like real estate classes and investing classes, like businessmen. I was in prison with businessmen. I still know people today that I was in federal prison with. I would rather do business with them in a lot of cases than other people. Like they're a lot of dudes who have money just because they hadn't gotten caught. Here's an example, right? I was in prison with a guy named Mike McCoy, and he did accounts receivable financing and alternative financing, right? So they would do flooring and different things. He had a bunch of investors that gave him a bunch of money to invest in stuff. He diverted the money and instead brought in, I think it was Kia. I think he brought in the first Kias, brought in Kia and funded a bunch of lots, paid back all of his people, right? All of his investors got paid at a profit. When the feds caught on to this, and I don't know how they caught on to it, but they went after him, and none of the people who invested would press charges or testify against him. They only testified on his behalf. But the feds still jammed him up, and he did like 12 years. There was no victim, literally no victim. He just diverted funds from one thing to another thing and paid all of the people. Nobody lost money on this, but he was still in federal prison. A lot of dudes in prison, I'd say 85% of people in prison, they're only there because somebody told on them. There's a charge called conspiracy. There was a dude in Lompoc with me. His neighbor robbed a bank. The dude I was in prison with, he didn't tell on the dude for robbing the bank. That's what he was in prison for. If they want you in prison, if they want to make an example of you, or for instance, a federal agent wants to date your wife or is having a relationship with your wife currently and wants to get rid of you, it is not hard to do. There's a lot of people in the system who did not actually commit a crime.